name is Hido, and welcome to the Pantheon, where today we're delving into Dungeons and Dragons, and we've got, well, it's a dragon. Who would have thought it? It's old Gnawbone. 7 mana for a 7/7 green dragon, which is rather weird. You know, green doesn't generally get dragons, but Dungeons and Dragons will make an exception. It's flying. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, create that many treasure tokens. Again, interesting because green has a lot of ramp, so getting treasures, okay, makes sense. You know, green likes its acceleration, but the whole artifact sort of synergy, well, there's not too much to go around, but I've managed to find a couple of cool cards that work with it. So, what do I think? Well, 7 mana for a 7/7 dragon that ramps you. You're already ramped. You're casting a 7/7 dragon, but we can go mega ramp. You know, that's the idea. We get absolutely boatloads of mana, and we just go absolutely ham. If you like these videos, please do consider subscribing. Making one of these for every single legendary creature ever printed. And it's going to take me a while, but we'll get there in the end. So without further ado, let's have a look at my top 5 for Mr. Gnawbone. In at number 5, we've got a couple of creatures with evasion, because the main thing is, yes, our commander comes in 7 mana, so quite hefty, but you can start generating those treasures straight away if you've got creatures that can attack. So Questing Beast is a great example of this. 4 mana for a 4/4 with Vigilance, Death Touch, and Haste. But the main reason I'm wanting to play it, it can't be blocked by a creature with power 2 or less. So if you're playing against someone with like a token strategy, this can just fly in. They won't be able to block it. We're going to generate 4 treasures just from this one card. Combat damage also that would be dealt to creatures you control can't be prevented. And it deals combat damage to the opponent. It deals that much damage to target planeswalker that player controls. Dear God, there's so many words. Utterly ridiculous. To go along with this, here are a couple of other cards with a cool sort of evasion that you wouldn't play in other decks. Elven Riders. 5 mana for a 3/3. It can't be blocked except by walls and or creatures with flying. So obviously not many people play walls, you know, unless you're playing a wall tribal deck. And creatures with flying, well, hopefully there's not too many on the field. I'm sure one of your 3 opponents won't have either of them, and you can get in for some damage. Then we've got Lady Zurong. I don't know how you pronounce that. She's a warrior queen. 5 mana for a 4/3 with horsemanship. So that means it can only be blocked or block creatures with horsemanship. So you're always going to be getting in because, again, not many people play horsemanship. Then you've got Treetop Rangers. 3 mana for a 2/2. Can't be blocked except by creatures with flying. So again, this can get in, gain us 2 treasures straight away. We've got that mana. Absolutely incredible. A slightly different take on this is Ginger Brute. 1 mana for a 1/1 with haste. You have to pay 1, and Ginger Brute can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with haste. So that's absolutely fantastic. Look at this little food golem guy go. It's just going to be going, whee, getting in there for loads. Well, not loads, 1 damage. And if you're in a pickle, you can pay 2, tap it, sacrifice it to gain 3 life, as he is a piece of food. Then we've got Treetop Scout, 1 mana for a 1/1. Can't be blocked except by creatures with flying. So again, just attack the people that don't have flying. They won't be able to block it. Get in, get some treasures. And finally, we've got Therapeed. 3 mana for a 1/1. It's unblockable. Whenever it deals combat damage to player, that you may remove a counter from target permanent. So this can actually work really well if you're playing against anyone with a +1/+1 counter sort of strategy. Or, you know, if your opponent's using -1/-1 counters on your creatures, remove them. Or potentially, we could kill a planeswalker with that ability. So, yes, it's the 3 mana 1/1, but there are versatile uses for the little insect. Which brings me on to number 4. And at number 4, well, we've got treasure sort of. Well, we have some food, yes. Well, we're going to in a second. Treasure sort of themed cards. Academy Manufacturer is a 3 mana 1/3. If you would create a clue, food, or treasure token, instead create 1 of each. So as we're going to be creating so many treasures, you know, swing in for 7, get 7 treasures. Well, we'll get 7 clues and 7 foods, which is just absolutely phenomenal. So many artifacts, which will come up later. And all of those clues can be sacrificed to draw as cards. So this card by itself is one of the key pieces of the deck and just works incredibly. Being able to turn all of the treasures into the clues, amazing. And the food, you know, if we're in a dire strait. To go along with this, a couple of other treasure sort of theme cards. Instrument of the Bards, 1 mana for a legendary artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a harmony counter on Instrument of the Bards. Pay 4, tap it, search your library for a creature card with mana value equal to the number of harmony counters on Instrument of the Bards. Reveal it, put it into your hand. If that card is legendary, create a treasure token, then shuffle. So we can get a couple of treasures, you know, accelerators by paying the 4 mana, or we could just tutor up one of our, you know, unblockable creatures. Really, really versatile, gets us exactly what we want. It doesn't cheat them into play, but it's still pretty goddamn good. Gets you exactly the cards that you want. Then Treasure Vault here, an artifact land that taps for a colourless. Can pay double X and tap, sacrifice it, creates X treasure tokens. So this can really push you ahead by an absolute ton of treasures if you're just pumping a lot of mana into the X. Really, really nice. And it comes in untapped. So having a land that has an effect on it, always very, very powerful and useful. Then we not a great card, but it fits in with a treasure token sort of thing. And the thing with these sort of cards is they're very uninteresting to look at, but you will always find a use for them. 2 mana for a sorcery. Choose one. Smash it, destroy a target artifact. Lift the curse, destroy a target enchantment. Or steal its eyes, create a treasure token, and venture into the dungeon. So, venturing into the dungeon once, you know, it's going to gain you a life or some other weird little thing. Maybe you could build a lot of venture into the deck, and that's far more useful, and you get the treasure. But you're always going to find an artifact or enchantment to destroy. So this card, while it doesn't look exciting, and it isn't, but it is a cornerstone of deck building. It's what you need in the deck. So put it in. Then, if we're going to have a lot of treasures, Treasure Map is a phenomenal card. 2 mana for an artifact, pay 1, tap to scry 1, then put a landmark counter on it. If there's 3 or more landmark counters on it, remove those counters, transform the map, and create 3 colours artifact tokens. Then the main reason we want to be playing it is the other side, Treasure Cove. Taps for a colourless, and you can tap, sacrifice a treasure to draw a card. So in this deck, we can have absolutely tons of treasure, and we can just generate a load of advantage through drawing loads of cards with Treasure Cove. And you could even go down the route of having a lot of untappers in the deck to untap your land. So you can untap this, sacrifice another draw card, just keep churning through the deck. Then there's Tireless Provisioner. 3 mana for a 3/2. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a food token or a treasure token. So we're playing lands in the deck. A lot of our green ramp is going to be, you know, fetch a land, put it into play. Maybe you could play the fetch lands, although, you know, you are only playing one colour. But this sort of landfall card works exceptionally well and will accelerate you in terms of treasure. Or if you're behind, you can get a bunch of life. Which brings me on to my number 3 pick. And at number 3, we've got Rampage of the Clans. So I talked about how this is a very sort of artifact-based deck because we're making so many treasures. And there's not, in greens, not too many ways of using treasures, but this is one of them. Rampage of the Clans, 4 mana for an instant, destroy all artifacts and enchantments. For each opponent destroyed this way, its controller creates a 3/3 green centaur creature token at instant speed. So say we have 20 treasures on the field, and we you know, pass the turns, get to our opponent's end step, Rampage of the Clans, destroy everything, so all of our opponent's artifacts and enchantments as well, and then we destroy all of our treasures, 20 treasures, 23 threes. That's enough to win the game right then and there. This card is phenomenal in the deck. Yes, all right, we lose all of our treasures. We've not got any mana left, but we've got 90 power on the board or something obscene like that. It's really, really cool in the deck. To go along with this, we've got a couple of other artifact sort of theme cards. I really struggled on this bit. Mirror and Metal, 1 mana for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Metalcraft, that creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn if you control 3 or more artifacts. So this is the sort of card I would never really put into a commander deck. But in this deck, we want to be dealing lots of damage to our opponents. So 1 mana for +4/+4 gives us 4 additional treasure tokens. So really, it's acting like a ritual that generates us a ton of treasures. So 1 mana, we get 4 treasures, which is pretty goddamn good, to be honest. Then we've got Azuri's Brigade. 4 mana for a 4/4 with Metalcraft. As long as you control 3 or more artifacts, it gets +4/+4 and has Trample. So 4 mana 8/8 with Trample can get in there for a ton of damage. Really nice to have on the field when we play our commander. Then we can get in for 8 damage, get 8 treasures. And finally, we've got Pest Infestation. Green, double X for a sorcery. Destroy up to X target artifacts and or enchantments. Create twice X 1/1 black and green pest creature tokens with. When this creature dies, you gain 1 life. So if our opponents don't have any artifacts or enchantments, which is pretty unlikely, we can turn this onto all of our treasures and get a bunch of tokens onto the field. And then maybe, you could use the 1 green win condition in Crater Hoof and just kill our opponents with that. Which brings me on to my number 2 pick. At number 2, we've got a lot of mana. So let's pump it into things to use the mana. If we've got all this mana, we may as well go using it. And Steelbane Hydra is the epitome of that for me. Double green and X for a Turtle Hydra. What a creature type that is. 0/0 and it enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it. But then we've dumped all our mana into it. This guy hits someone, we get a bunch more treasures. We can use the mana. There's a mana sink. Pay 3, remove a 1/1 counter from it, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Absolutely fantastic. We can use all of our mana we've got to just wipe the board. Really, really nice. And look at him, he's a big snappy turtle man. Wonderful. To go along with this, well, we want, as I said before with the Metalcraft thing, we want to pump our creatures, get them really big. Exponential growth is one way to just do it and make something absolutely massive. Maybe our commander and one-shot someone. Exponential growth, double green, double X. Sorcery, until end of turn, double target creatures, power, X times. So our commander, 7/7. Alright, X is 1, 14/7. Pretty cool. X is 2, 28/7. Well, okay, someone's dead for commander damage. And if our commander hits, because it's got flying, we're going to have 28 treasure tokens. Well, that's a lot of mana going around. Or you could just put this on a big trampoline dude. Pretty good. Then we've got Finale of Devastation, double green and X for a sorcery. Search your library and or graveyard for a creature card with convert mana cost X or less. Put it onto the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. If X is 10 or more, and remember we're going to have a lot of mana, creatures you control get +X and gain haste until end of turn. So we could search up whatever, make a bunch of tokens. All of our creatures get +X and gain haste. The tokens won't because they come in after this ability resolves. But we can just search up a creative. Smash, you're dead. Everyone's dead. Everyone's dead. They're all dead. And we've searched up whatever we want. Really, really nice. Then we've got Worm Calling, X and a green for a sorcery with buyback for 3. So you may pay an additional 3 mana to return this back to your hand as it resolves. Put an XX green worm creature token into play. So we just can make an absolute army of little things or one massive thing and then return it back to our hand. Really, really cool card. I love the artwork. That sort of snake looks so it's a worm. It's called Worm Calling. But this card just works fantastically with all the mana we will be generating. Then we're going to have a massive dude smash in to get more mana. Really, really nice. Then there's Ren's Run Hydra. An X and a green for a 0/0 Hydra with reach. Enter the battlefield with X 1/1 counters. But in terms of the other ability, Reinforce is really, really cool. It's been on very few cards up to this point. Double green and X. Discard this card, just like cycling. Put X 1/1 counters on target creature, and that can be done at instant speed. So you attack with, say, one of your, guys that can't be blocked by flyers. They can't block; they've not got flyers. Right, I'm going to dump a load of mana into this. Pay X is 27. This little dude is going to become absolutely massive. We're going to deal 29 damage to our opponents, get 29 treasures back, so we can do another massive X spell. This card is fantastic in the deck with both modes, and having different modes is so powerful in Commander. If one thing's not good, the other thing usually will be. Speaking of things that are good, Walking Ballista, double X for a construct. Enter the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it. can pay 4 to put a 1/1 counter on it, and you can remove a 1/1 counter to deal 1 damage to any target. So if we're just casting it, we're going to have loads of mana, absolutely massive dude, ping, 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 ping. But the cool thing about it is it's a mana sink for later in the game. So 4 mana, put a 1/1 counter on it. We can do it over and over again with all the mana we're going to be generating. And then just ping, 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 ping. Ping, ping, ping. Like a little pinball machine just whizzing around. You get what I mean. Then we got Sprout Swarm. 2 mana, instant, convoke, which means your creatures can help you cast this. They can tap for mana for you. Then it has buyback, so you can rebuy it back to your hand. Put a 1/1 sapling creature token into play. This is just really cool. You know, if you're going down the token route, we can convoke it out. But because we're going to be making so much mana, we can just pay for it all. You know, oh, 5 mana for a 1/1. Who cares? I've got 28 million mana. Just flop loads of saplings everywhere. Which brings me on to my number 1 pick. And at number 1, we've got Riding the Dilu Horse. A ridiculous card. Very expensive, sadly, because it's from a very limited print run set. But just proxy it. Who actually cares? 3 mana for a sorcery. Target creature gets +2/+2 and gains horsemanship. Forever. This is not just a one-shot thing. It is on a sorcery, but it acts as an enchantment. It just gives it those permanence buffs. So this is fantastic with any of the big creatures because horsemanship can only be blocked by other creatures with horsemanship. And as I said before, not many people are playing things with horsemanship. So you put this on one of your big hydras, swing in, they can't block it. Absolutely fantastic. It's just fantastic in the deck. And it's such an interesting and weird card. The artwork's also really nice. I like the horses sort of. Those legs on the front don't look anatomically correct. They look more like a raptor's legs. But really quite interesting. And this is sort of the theme of this last section, making things unblockable, or at least getting through the damage. Because we talked about things that have innate unblockability built in, and these cards give it to them. So Siege Behemoth, 7 mana for a 7/4 with hexproof. As long as it's attacking for each creature you control, you may have that creature assign its combat damage as though it weren't blocked. So yes, our opponents can block all of our little idiots, but we're going to deal the combat damage to our players and gain all of the treasure for it. Amazing card. Hexproof means that they can't remove it with spot removal. Wonderful. Absolutely fantastic. Then we've got Treetop Braces, 2 mana for an enchantment aura. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and can't be blocked except by creatures with flying. So again, we've talked about all the smaller dudes that have this ability, but this, we can give it to a massive hydra and then just slam in for loads of damage. Similarly, we've got Canopy Cover, 2 mana for an enchant creature. Can't be blocked except by creature with flying or reach. Ooh, slightly worse. And then enchanted creature can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control. So this is actually better, really, because it's got hexproof. So a nice bit of protection for your massive creature and a nice bit of evasion as well. Then we've got Indomitable Might. 4 mana for an enchantment aura with flash. Enchanted creature gets +3/+3. Enchanted creature's controller may have it assign its combat damage as though it weren't blocked. So again, we just put this onto our big hydras. We can even do this in the middle of combat. So say, you know, we're attacking with a 20/20 hydra, hasn't got trample or, you know, any sort of evasion. They block with a 1/1. Flop this into play. Boom. 23 damage straight to your face and 23 treasures for us. And then this card is terrible. But I wanted to include it because that artwork is amazing. Look at it. Look at those teeth and sort of armadillo body. It's so weird. And the name, Guzzy Ghost, whatever the hell that is. 5 mana for a 6/8. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice it unless you put 2 cards from your graveyard on the bottom of your library. So, as I talked about things that sort of search your library, this could actually rebuy things that have gone to your graveyard. So, yeah. Then, double green, discard a card from your hand. You may have it deal its combat damage to defending player this turn if it weren't blocked. So, 5 mana, 6. Yeah, okay. So discard a card, pay 2 to get 6 treasures. Pretty cool. But then just built into it, we've got rocks. 6 mana for a 5/5. You may have it deal combat damage to defending player as though it weren't blocked. Pay 3, regenerate rocks. Really, really solid card. And those are my top 5 cards for this commander. A lot of evasion, that's what you want. Yes, 7 mana is a lot for the commanders, but we're playing green. We should be able to ramp into it, surely. Surely. Come on, do it. And then once it's on the field, slam in with some big things, get loads of treasures. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon. Bye.